Hello, Orville Nation. Hello, Lady Q. Hello, Sci-Fi Fantasy Girl, Kronos, Gap, Stargate, Mountains of Elysium, Rachel. Hello, everybody, Sci-Fi, Orville family, Peggy, everyone who's in here. Wow, we have a lot of people in here. I want to say, first, let me introduce our two co-hosts, AntiTrekker and Raquel. Hello, AntiTrekker, Raquel.
Hey, very excited about who we have here today. We've got Corin NEMEC in the house, everyone. And he has such an exciting project to talk about.
Yeah, our good friend Corin.
I'm outside of the house, actually.
Welcome, Corin.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I had a. It was funny because yesterday, Chad and I, my buddy Treason is DJ on Twitter. He's a podcaster. He's always one of the teammates who has volunteered his time to go with me on this crazy trek across America. And you know, it was really one of those strange kind of what can be termed as a God shot moment. You know, he came over and we did this interview and we were talking and he's like, you know, he just moved down to the south part of Texas near some family of his and not too far, but he was planning on moving somewhere else soon. And I'm like, I got to move out soon. And I had been planning on doing a different kind of version of this cross country trip, but with everything that's been going on in the world today, you know, when I see just so much negativity and so much anger and I would even dare to say hatred going on out there that's being spoon-fed to us by the mainstream media on many different platforms on both sides of the aisle. You know, I just didn't. I was looking at like my personal life, the people around me, the people in my neighborhood. You know, yeah, I live, you know, in an older kind of country neighborhood, but I'm only about an hour or so outside of Houston. I mean, there's nothing, it's nothing but city between me and Houston, you know? So, you know, I just going to the store, going to the restaurants. I don't see all of this anger and animosity between people. I see a bunch of hardworking, you know, people just trying to get ahead in life, pay their bills, save up enough money to maybe do something fun with their family every now and then. And just continue getting ahead in life with as few barriers as possible to their ability to survive and prosper, you know. And what I see, you know, happening is these kind of fictitious barriers, psychological barriers being put in place that's starting to make people afraid to talk to each other. So what I got excited about when talking to Chad about this was getting out and meeting the people that I've been in communication with on Twitter for years, as well as meeting as many, you know, regular everyday working Joes and Janes out there, and just get an interview with them about what it was like growing up, what was the hardships, what was the struggle, what was the class system they were in, all that. Not taking it to a political point, because I don't want this to be a political trip. I want it to be a unifying experience where when people watch the interviews, you won't even be able to know necessarily what side of the aisle the person might be on. Mm-hmm. You're just getting to know what it's like for everyone, the average person, to grow up in this country. And I think by the end of that, by the time we get through hopefully hundreds and hundreds of interviews, you know, and hopefully we'll be able to extend this and really get in. If you know, my idea is that 4 weeks doesn't seem like enough. And if we can do a larger raise, like I don't have any place to go back to at this point, except maybe to my sister's afterwards, or unless some other jobs pick up, which hopefully they will. But right now with, like, you know, with the way that the film industry is, you know, I'm not really, I can't gamble on that. So I have other things going on, which is really exciting as well. Some construction projects in Tennessee that we'll go and visit my building partner, Steve McQueen, not that Steve McQueen, but the construction guy, Steve McQueen Construction. It's outside of Nashville, about an hour or so outside of Nashville. Actually, less than an hour, well under an hour, probably more like 40 minutes outside of Nashville. But I'm not going to stay in the area because our project is top secret. But we've already gotten strong buy-in from the local city council there and the and then the people who are in charge of I just forget the name of the department, but they're in charge of what you build and what you can't build and all that stuff.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the reason I'm curious, I live about 40 minutes outside of Nashville.
Oh.
Well, I'll see you when we're there for sure.
I would love that.
We'll set up a get
Okay,
together.
so I'm going to interrupt both of you because I think what's really good here is that I want to help make this take shape in people's minds. And first of all, we have to just drop the bomb here and say what this whole project is called. It's the Love America Tour. And AntiTrekker has touched upon something that's super important. What can Americans expect when Corin and his crew roll into town? What does this project look like? Are you rolling in on a bus? Are you packing up some muscle cars and going in and having a tailgate with people? Are you gonna be sitting at the taco stand talking about what's happening in that person's life? Corin, how does the Love America Tour take shape in your mind? How does it look?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. We went on a massive, because all of this happened so quickly. I pushed when they kept pushing, extending the lockdown, and it kept extending my ability to earn the living that I'm used to being able to earn, or at least have the opportunity to earn. When that kept getting further and further away, the panic and really terror of everything that I've been building up for all of these years completely falling apart around me was an awful thing. And fortunately, me and my ex-wife have a good enough relationship where we were able to come to a mutual agreement, and instead of selling the only family home that we have, because she rents, it made more sense, for me to let go of the alimony payment, allow her to take over the house. I'll take care of all of the bills for the house in place of that alimony, and then continue with the agreed child support payments. And my son will still be in the same school district. Great house, really safe place. My buddy Steve McQueen, this house is a 1963 Pennsylvania coal miner's house. It was a catalog house from Sears catalog that one of the original property owners out in this area I'm in built. It's 100% cedar, all the interior beams, the paneling, everything on the outside. It's bug proof for life. And we did some really beautiful work on the inside, taking it back to an earlier time period. This is a 1963 house. I'm not sure if it'll get too dark in here, but I added this laundry chute right here. So this laundry chute,
Corin, this is so cool. Thanks for sharing that.
That goes upstairs to the second floor, and there's I'll show you. And then there's like a cute little boutique downstairs, restroom.
Oh wow!
Very cool. The all slider doors, and then this is this.
You did that work yourself, Corin?
Myself, Steve McQueen, and a small crew of guys, Cool. And then I also did all of these. Sorry, my place is a mess, but all of these are on sliders as well. So
great.
Yeah, so I can slide out all of my, and then I can get back here and I can clean everything. It's all tiled in for fireproofing.
Nice. Well, you're definitely not lazy. You've been busy, Corin. You've been very busy.
Yeah, fun stuff like that. So and then and through a pass-through window, a nice little antique pass-through window right here.
Oh, neat.
Which this becomes like the short order shelf for my son when he wants food, when he comes down from his bedroom stairs.
Well, speaking of do-it-yourself projects, Corin, because it seems as though you are the master of these do-it-yourself projects. Could you please tell everyone at home what obstacles, modest budget productions are facing these days? What is the Love America Tour? What obstacles are they going to face given the COVID-19 and just budget constraints in general? Can you speak to that?
Well, personally for me, I mean, I have been watching this thing unfold since the get-go, and I'm I'm one of those people use the term conspiracy theorist or whatever. Look, I've just chosen to read a different through line of history and books written by authors whose research is infallible. So, one person can call, things conspiracy theories. Another person can call them, a factual a version of history with the original source material available to back up, what the version is. But that said, when this all first came out, Fauci had put out the article in the New England Journal of Medicine in late January and said that the death rate for a normal healthy person was 0.1%, and that this wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then suddenly these Imperial College reports come out, and what they're not even reports. They're computer projections. They're computer models that they put together, and they program in whatever information they want into it, and they get whatever information out. So they did a computer model. Another a college in Washington State did one other one. Oddly enough, all three of them were financed by Bill Gates, who's the second largest financier of WHO as well. And then those particular models went to WHO said, oh, well, this is actually what it's going to be. It's going to be a 2.4 or 3 point whatever percent, and suddenly Fauci changes his mind and this whole thing unfolds and we shut down everything. And then in the more recent times, a couple of days before these protests started, finally the CDC and World Health Organization come out with the exact same numbers that Fauci had put out in January 19th. And everybody thinks I'm crazy. And I send them the CDC information. I send them the WHO information. WHO says you don't have to wear masks unless you're around somebody who's actually really ill. And even then, it's just a precaution because those masks don't stop viruses from getting out. They're too small. So all of this stuff, when I'm reading, I'm like, what is this hogwash that they're trying to convince me to think with? So, I think with the factual information that I glean from it, and that's what I make my choices based on, So if in this tour, if somebody else is in that scared panic mode that's been created and generated by the media coverage of this whole thing, and they want to, practice the social distancing, and they want to wear masks, and if they want us to cover our faces for an interview with them, I'm fine going into their world and altering, my personal preferences to meet the safety standards and the comfortability that they wish. Sorry, let me turn off this decline that. Forgot to turn my ringer off.
There we go.
Let me turn that off.
That's okay. Don't you worry about it.
Anyway, so in this trip, I'm not personally, I'm not concerned for myself, and neither are the guys I'm traveling with personally concerned for our health and well-being relative to the COVID-19 84 deal. But that's just what I call it, and I refuse to call it anything different.
What do you have?
But that said, we're not. Yes, the route right now is we're going to start in Austin because I got to pick up Joe, one of our filmmakers there, and that'll be on July 1st. And we're gonna interview a couple people in Austin. Hopefully, we'll get to interview a couple of other key figures from my life that live near there. There's a Vanilla Ice concert. A friend of a friend owns a bar there that is having a Vanilla Ice concert on the 3rd. I'm going to see if I can manage to finagle an interview with Vanilla. I don't know him personally. We've never crossed paths, oddly enough, even though we hung in kind of the same circles for a little while during the Parker Lewis days and such. But if I can finagle that, then we might stay on and do the Vanilla Ice concert and interview him. If I can't finagle that, because what's most important to me is meeting all of you out there. But at the same time, I also want to get as many of these so-called celebrity, interviews as possible too, because I don't want to address their celebrity. I want to talk to them about the same exact things I'm talking to everybody else about. I want to find out, where did they grow up? What was their economic strata? What was the difficulties that they came across in terms of being able to succeed in life? What do you think that could be, could have been better for you, And this is all going to come out of what is life like growing up in America, in this culture, because it's a very dynamic and fluid and diverse culture when you get out there, and everybody considers themselves to be Americans. At least most of the ones that I've met and got to know.
So how's this going to look on the other side, Corin? How is this going to look on the other side when it's all done? How does this project look? How can I watch this? How can I watch these interviews and engage with all of these amazing stories that you plan to tell, that you plan to seek out and tell?
Well, we talked about that a lot, and I think that the simplest way to do it, at least for this first trip, and unless we can extend it or potentially, make something more out of this. I mean, I'm really interested to see what happens out of this too. But I totally forgot the question.
Like how like when this is all done, and,
that's right.
And your fans come forward to say, I want to see this. What would be your ultimate goal? How would you like it to take shape? Are we going to do let's pitch this to Netflix, or are you going to do something independent on YouTube? How are things taking shape for you?
Yeah, yes. Just like I've been posting updates and everything on my YouTube channel, NEMEC TV, all one word. On there, underneath it is a Love America Tour, icon.
Yeah,
link. Link. And all of we'll be uploading daily the whole trip. I'll be doing, I'll probably end up doing some kind of daily diary at a certain point. I'll also be, recording stuff on my phone. And then, my film crew, Chad and Joe, they'll be recording their own stuff. We're going to see how many adventures we can go on, cool places we can go. Maybe we can do some haunted adventures, go see some abandoned places, go on, maybe we can go, go on some really interesting treks with some locals to places that nobody's ever been before. Whatever we can, where it's going to be an organic kind of hectic deal, but we're going to be daily uploading all of everything that's been taking place throughout that day. And early evening, we'll be constantly uploading throughout the whole trip. So we should be able to stay about a day and a half, on schedule with the releases. And then the long form interviews that we're going to do, because we won't be able to do long form interviews with everybody, but some of the key people, we want to just be able to just talk for as long as it takes to get to the end of a conversation. So the long form interviews, we'll do a standard 60-minute style, 3 cameras, one medium, 1 2-shot, one close up, and then a roving camera. And we'll edit all that together in a really nice, clean, style editing
production.
Process. Production. Yeah. And then and those we might be a day or two, or behind on releasing the long form ones, because they'll take longer to edit. But we have we were able to get a motorhome from Rick's RV.
Looks great.
Rick's RV rental and repair in Conroe, Texas.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, he's great.
Nice.
They were great, and they even though it's still more than I was really, really hoping we were going to get a sponsorship. But we looked far and wide, and it didn't come to fruition. So, because I didn't want to have to use anything out of the budget for the cost of the RV.
But you're still open to that. So if anybody is watching this and you would like to get involved with this project, please get a hold of Corin and start the lubrication for this machine, because this is a great idea. As you can see, our chat is blowing up with people saying, this is a great idea. People are complimenting Corin on this wonderful idea of bringing Americans together, telling real American stories about people and about places. So, and that was Corin TV. That you should go to?
Corin NEMEC TV, CORIN'S TV, and it's all one word.
All the links will be put on this video afterwards, guys. Yeah.
Yes, please. We're going to get that up for you folks so that you can get your keisters on over there, get subbed, and make sure that you stay on this channel. So many exciting stories are going to come out of this. This is about Americana. This is about American people and places. What a great idea, Corin.
Thanks. And so I think that we made a good deal, even though it's a larger chunk of the budget than I wanted to spend. We made a good deal with the guy for the RV. I'm nicknaming her the Red Baron. She's a lady, and it's a Class C, so we'll have plenty of room. It's bigger than I wanted, but he's giving us a pretty good deal, because he's going to on the fourth week he's going to give us the rental for only $500 for the fourth week.
Nice.
So we're going to go ahead and take this deal. But if the trip, because I am convinced that this should be a slower moving, more organic journey, and not be sped through. And if that's the case, then I don't want a corporate sponsorship for several reasons. One, because I don't want to be beholden to a network or a corporate sponsorship. If it goes network, am I going to suddenly be beholden to certain conditions and things like that?
Yeah.
In the film production right now, and just doing it independently, crowdfunding, getting the people out there around the world who are interested in this. This is something too. I have a large fan base over in Europe and Australia and other places, and
Canada especially. Canada is blowing up, Corin. On the chat, you can see to your right, the Canadians are on here. The women are out in full force, talking about how sexy and wonderful and cool you are. They want you in Canada too, Corin.
Well, that's just it. Is see, if when I was talking to Chad about this, he's like, look, I'm willing to dedicate. He doesn't, he's in a similar situation to me in terms of having the freedom to do whatever we want to do right now, and my other filmmaker is too. So the turning this into something bigger, I wouldn't mind. Right now we're planning on going Texas, Austin to New Orleans, snake our way up through Louisiana into Arkansas, see some of my family there, visit some friends, some different people from Twitter, different supporters, head up to Fayetteville, where my parents went to college, go up into southern Missouri, see my dad's brother and some other people who live up there, cross over into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, down into Florida, snake through Florida, then come back up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, into the Virginias. And then we were going to regroup and figure it out from there. We figure we'll probably be completely out of money by then. But that being said, if we can get, if we can keep fundraising, then we want to go all the way up into the far northeast, up into Maine and all of that, and then snake our way back down and kind of zigzag between the northern states and the Midwestern states, and just bounce back and forth all the way to the West Coast. The original plan was to then go down through LA, San Diego, whatever, and then come back through the Midwestern states to Houston and return the truck. I don't think we'd be able to do that in 4 weeks. I think it's impossible, and I don't want to cut the trip short. So we're going to see what happens. But I think that from kind of a social experiment standpoint, that this is going to reveal that we have far more in common as Americans and as people, because. Like I said, if we can take this to Canada next, great. Let's go to Canada. If we can go through Mexico, let's go through Mexico. If we can get on a boat, because I'm not flying on a plane with a mask on my face for 16 hours to Australia. I'm sorry.
No.
So we'll take a freaking boat if we have to. Maybe do Australia, maybe do Asia, whatever. I mean, and go and do the same thing and meet the real people that keep the gears grinding, that everybody forgets about. That nothing is keeping this country going except for all of those people in what they call flyover country that are still working hard, and all those people in all of the these so-called elitist states, these super advanced social states, even those. It's the people who are working every day, paying their taxes, going to their jobs even if they don't want to, working 2 jobs, all of that stuff, in order to keep this whole thing going and on the track. And those are the people that I want to hear from. I want to find out, how did they get to where they are, and what's it like now?
So Corin, just to be clear, if you hit, or when you hit your goal right now for this campaign, are you going to open it up to extend the tour And, because I think there's people who want to support you.
I think
I
so
wanna-
too.
Yeah, I want to see how the first couple of weeks go, what the real expenses are, what the gas really is, because gas prices are going up a little bit. It does only get 12 miles per gallon. So we're probably talking $150 per fill. You know what I mean? Per tank, probably. So, I want to see what happens over the first couple of weeks. And then if so, then we'll end up launching maybe another GoFundMe to continue and extend it further so that we can go longer and go to more places.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll just have to cut it short, not go to as many places, and return in the 4-week period that we have designated. But we also may set up like a Patreon account for for gas type of stuff, small type of pay, for small stuff for people can do really small donations or whatever.
Exactly.
Maybe there's other apps out there that we can look into.
Corin,
but
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want to speak for
please do.
AntiTrekker, but I would think that maybe we can cover his tour on our channels, AntiTrekker, and help him.
One thing I was actually thinking about, Corin, is that I know you have a YouTube channel, but the monetization abilities of YouTube could actually be something that could help sustain your tour, because if you can, especially
if we become successful enough,
well, with your relative popularity in the nerd culture, right, which there are a lot of us out there. There are Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate channels out there that have literally millions of people that follow.
Yeah. My most viewed video, I think, has like 240 views or something. So
right.
I'm
most people don't realize you're out there. Honestly, most people don't realize you're out there, and I haven't.
They will, damn it, they will.
I didn't know about your channel until just now, but I just subscribed, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. But honestly, I think that that's something that I've talked about on my channel. It's I've always when daydreaming about, if it ever gets big, right? And one of the things I would love to do is very similar to what you're talking about, is use the channel as a platform to go out and meet the nerds, basically, to get out there and absolutely, you get out there and not just, oh, hey, I'm here to sign an autograph, but, oh, hey, let's talk about life. Let's talk about what makes you tick, what makes me tick, what makes this country as great as it is. What are the things we still got to work on, and the way that we're going to come to, and I love where you're coming from with this, because it's not about having a left-wing approach or a right-wing approach. It's let's put the hate down for a minute and just talk.
Drop the hate stick, damn it.
Yeah, seriously, it's so bad. I'm despite my name being the AntiTrekker, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Have been since I was a little kid. By the way, you were the best part of that Star Trek short film that I know I'm forgetting the name of it because I'm an idiot.
Oh no, I had just gotten out of those.
Yeah, Renegades. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's Renegades.
I could barely walk at that time. Actually,
you were freaking awesome because you felt like a Starfleet captain to me. Where
I felt like I was on pain medications and coming from
the boating accent.
From doing my therapy, my physical therapy. I was still doing physical therapy at that time. I was walking with a cane. I could barely get around. So you notice when you watch that, all I really do is stand up out of the chair and move a couple of feet.
I just thought that was the director.
And no, that was because I couldn't frickin' hardly walk.
Wow.
But the thing is, if you look at the vision of a lot of these franchises, particularly I think if you look at Stargate prior to Stargate Universe, and you look at Star Trek prior to 2009, and it's always been about dropping the hate, coming together as a people, and being, basically just doing what's right. And that's where your character was so refreshing on SG-1, and that's something that I think we're losing as a society. We're becoming more negative. We're becoming more nihilistic. We're becoming just more hateful. And something like this is awesome, because I do think we need to make a concerted effort in whether you're just I focus on the nerd community a lot because I'm in it, but wherever you are, we need to bring down the level of hate in this world instead of escalating it.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah,
love it.
it's a big concern because, you know, as they stoke the flames on the mainstream media, on all of their different platforms, as they constantly stoke the flames, you know, what it unfortunately does is it starts to incite and entice an opposite negative feeling towards, you know, towards the other group
Right.
from people who never were even thinking about it until the news came on. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a, you know, it's a slippery slope when you have a media that is completely corporatized and totally controlled from the top down by 6 companies. So, you know, I was having a conversation the other day with a buddy, and my buddy was like, it's impossible for them to be able to control the narrative of all of these different news channels. Look at all of them and everything like that. I said, well, what if it was 6 companies that owned 90% of those news channels? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, 6 companies own 90% of the news channels. Showed him the source, you know, material on it. And I said, so really you only need to control 6 CEOs, and those 6 CEOs then control, in a military style, you know, system of a corporatocracy, they trickle it down and it's very easy to control. He was like, whoa, you're right, it is. And I'm like, that's, you know, it's why when you change the channel, it's the same, it's just same thing, different day. God forbid you should be caught in an OANN shirt.
Yeah.
Corin, so let us. I think a lot of us here on the chat want to help you. So what is? I want to cover your tour, you know, because you're going to be putting out content. I want to let people know what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Well,
AntiTrekker will put some out. How else can we help you?
Well, this is help enough. I mean, the one thing I definitely want to, you know, also clarify too is, again, this is, you know, for me, it's, you know, I do thread the line of politics and stuff like that because it is an interest of mine and has been for decades. But, you know, it's been more of an academic interest for me than anything else because, from my understanding, it was one puppet to the next puppet to the next in terms of our leaders in my lifetime. And so I've never really been, you know, one on the political spectrum to, you know, to dive into saying, oh, this side of the spectrum is right or that side of the spectrum is right. So I don't want people to think that I'm, you know, going on this tour for some type of political agenda or anything of that nature, because I am neither party. I am not registered Democrat. I'm not registered Republican. I'm not registered at all. So I don't take on those labels. I look at all of these goings on, like I said, you know, more academically. That's how I look at it, you know, and other people can take me as being, you know, having a radical point of view when it comes to politics, but it really isn't for me. You know, other people it might be, but on this journey, it's not my interest to try to uncover or unfurl that whole can of worms. I want to do the opposite. I want to leave that can of worms. I want to leave the lid closed on that can of worms and discover, you know, how did we all get to be who we are today?
Right.
Yeah. Real people, so real stories.
It might get into some spiritual stuff, you know, it might get into a little bit of, you know, of the religious thing, you know, when we touch on some spiritual topics, if it's comfortable or not. But at the end of the day, if somebody that I am interviewing happens to bring up politics of their own accord, I'm happy to address whatever conversation that takes place organically. But it's not my agenda to have any type of politically driven motivation behind this. And that's what I want people to really know, because you know, I don't want people who maybe are balls to the wall Democrats thinking, oh, look, this guy, he's like one of those MAGA guys in an RV. He's gonna just come and interview me and make me seem like a jerk. No, I'm not. I'm not going to interview anybody and make anybody seem like a jerk. I just want to know what your life was like, where you grew up, how you grew up. Was it difficult? Was it easy?
Right.
You know, what was it? And was it here? And if you are from someplace else, what was it like once you got here in comparison? Those kind of things.
Yeah, well, it's about time that people focused on bonding and focused on hope. because it's very important for a society to coalesce. If we're always focused on this dystopian outlook and we're always looking to find a difference in one another, it's easy enough to find, and it's easy to tear us asunder. Because, if you have no hope, if you have no way of sharing stories and bonding with others, it's not good. So, I think you have a great idea here, Corin.
Thanks. And one other thing that is really important to me is also, just so everybody knows, if you have a great grandparent that is still with us, if you have an older mother or father who is still with us that is, over the 70, 80, preferably if we can find some people in their early 90s, mid 90s, whatever, these are some really, really important interviews. We had done a test run at my buddy's wedding, and some of the interviews we got, we weren't even able to use because the sound was so bad because we were just using our phones. But we had talked to his, my buddy Chad's grandmother, who's still alive, and she was just fascinating. I mean, absolutely fascinating. Her take on the epic ups and downs of the decades that have gone by. Somebody who has actually lived through, was there during the Great Depression, was there during World War II, was there during the Korean War, was there during the Equal Rights Movement, was there during Vietnam, was there during all of that. So was there during the oil embargo in the 70s and all of that stuff, was there during, the Carter boiled peanut selling administration, was there during the corrupt, Bush senior vice presidential Iran-Contra administration, was there during the Bush senior corrupt, administration, was there for all of that, and knows this whole entire, see, there I go getting political by accident again. But
that's okay.
But I just want to show that I'm not Republican or Democrat when I'm looking at politics. I look at things from a really kind of, they all blend together for me. You know what I
Corin,
mean? But
you were talking about how much you appreciate older people because of their experiences, their life experiences, and how much they can teach us. I think that there's a really great story hiding behind your own life. And if you'd be willing to share it, I would love to hear the story of how your grandmother gave you your nickname.
Oh, Corky. That's just an old Southern expression, a Corky kid. My family on my grandmother's side, I can't recall as far back as it goes, but I know that that they were mainly in parts of Florida. My grandfather's side were in Virginia, and when my grandfather was in the counterintelligence corps, he was in World War II as a B-50 bomber pilot and captain, and then and then as he became a major, he ended up going into the counterintelligence corps, which is counter-espionage division of the Air Force during the Cold War, and served 10 or so or more years active duty all over Europe. And so my family grew up over in the UK. My mom was born in Liverpool, and other family members and stuff. But then cool. He was there as an engineer for a private company, even though he was basically a spy. But his cover was blown, and he got pulled from active duty at a certain point. And so he transferred back to Arkansas, where he became a head of his own battalion, and that's how my family ended up there. Corky as a term, I guess, I don't know if she heard it around there or not, but it's kind of like, the word quirky. So quirky and Corky are pretty much the same word. It's just a different way of pronouncing it. So I was she always called me a quirky kid. Oh, he's such a quirky kid. Look at him. Oh gosh, is he quirky? And they just started calling me Corky after that, which by the time I got to be 13, I was over it. But some of my family members still call me Corky or Corksterocious or Corkorama, or
it says a lot about you. What a great person you are.
My mom likes to call me, it's my torture name, Corkita.
Yeah, but it says a lot about you.
Don't tell Katso.
when I was doing my research on you, I just thought to myself, who is this amazing young guy? You're handsome and you're cool and you're an actor. And here you've walked around your entire life with this nickname that your grandmother gave you. It speaks volumes about who you are as a person. It's just incredibly sweet, and I admire you for it.
Oh, right on, right on. Yeah, I don't mind being called Corky still, but I get called, some people call me by my birth name, Joseph or Joe. So some people call me that. Some people call me Corin, which is the name that my mother wanted to name me. I got my father's birth name, Joseph Charles NEMEC IV.
Yes.
And then my mom originally wanted to name me Corin. So when I was becoming an actor, my agent was like, Corky is just too Corky. And my mom was like, well, how about Corin? And I was like, well, what is wrong with Joseph? And they're like, well, it sounds a little too plain. You want something that stands out. And at that point, I was 12 years old. I didn't give a crap. In the long run, I actually wish I would have just stuck with Joseph Charles NEMEC IV. It would have made things a lot simpler for me in the long run, in terms of all these different people. Oh, there's Katso right there making a comment. Too late. Oh, the hell I'm in. Oh, that's hilarious. But
Corin, I just want to give you the heads up. We're at the 40-minute mark because I know you're very busy.
Yeah, man, I got loads of packing to do.
Can I ask one question before you go, Corin? I love you, and I have to ask this question. I had two questions. You just answered one of them. But can you please tell me the story of how you wound up in Beer for My Horses, and if you had a smoke with Willie?
I wish I had a smoke with Willie, but I totally would have. The guy who was casting that music video just coincidentally was the head of the if I remember correctly, the head of the electronic press kit crew that worked over at Fox and did stuff on Parker Lewis and stuff like that back in the day. And so when that came up, he had just, for whatever reason, had just thought of me for it and pitched me to them, and they were like, yeah, that sounds great. So it turned, it was one of those really fortuitous situations. But one thing I did do was when we were doing the video, that was Willie Nelson's actual whiskey brand. It's called River Whiskey. It's his own brand. And so we were drinking his brand, and they originally had brought us cups of tea to make it look like whiskey when we did the first take. And we drank it, and Willie Nelson spit it out. He's like, we're not drinking fake whiskey in my video. And I was like, uh-oh. Next thing you know, they broke open the real bottle, and we're out there just drinking real shots. And I was like, woo, now this is a music video.
Oh my God, Cord, thank you for sharing that story. That's so terrific. That's
one more quick question.
What a great story.
One more quick question from the audience. Any Dave Faustino on this tour?
When I do finally get out to LA, it is my intention to go and interview as many people from my past as possible, from actors to graffiti artists to gangbangers, to directors and family members and anybody that lives that grew up with me and lived around LA, as well as people that are from this the platform that we develop here. On top of that, but that will be kind of an icing on the cake, because people really get a very candid look at what life was like growing up in LA for me and for the group of guys that I hung out with, Balthazar Getty and David Arquette and David Faustino and Seth Binzer, who's Shifty from Crazy Town, and all the other guys that we hung out with. Isai Morales we were always hanging out, and just a whole host of people. And I went to high school with Christina Applegate and Mila Jovovich and Soleil Moonfry and Jenny Lewis and Justin Warfield from She Wants Revenge, and a whole bunch of us all went to the same school together. And I'd like to get as many of those interviews as possible too, because it will really tell a very, very interesting, well-rounded kind of version of life. And that's just strictly, it's not a selfish thing for me. I just think that if people, if I reveal myself in full, without having any fear of my past or anything like that, because there's nothing that I've done in my past that I have fear of revealing, Yeah, I was a graffiti artist. Yeah, I hung out with gangbangers. Yeah, I did a bunch of stupid stuff as a kid, you know, and yes, I still do graffiti art, and yes, I'm still a street artist, and yes, I still do all of that, you know, that kind of stuff. And I think that the revealing of this broad kind of brushstroke will be very enlightening for people. You know, I mean, that's just a theory. But I think that by the time we reach LA, if we're able to, you know, with the budget constraints, if we don't have to cut the trip short, then I think that by that point we should have hundreds of interviews in the can and hundreds of moments around the country in the can. So by the time we hit LA, there should be a very, very well kind of put together and thought out thesis to this whole thing that then we can apply to the, you know, the ultra liberal life experiences of growing up in Los Angeles, you know what I mean, on top of it. So oh, my buddy Steve McQueen's calling me right now. That's hilarious. I'll real quick, I'll talk about that. And me and Steve McQueen had come up with a low footprint project over these last number of years, and using very I mean, they're old and very simple but sturdy building techniques that uses limited materials, and using a lot of modern materials, as well as using different types of well, but for instance, you know, it'll have we'll have the solar, you know, solar panels, all that. Also, wind turbine power, and also let me just tell him, I'll call him right back.
That's okay.
Anyway, geez, where are you guys? I accidentally hit the.
We're still here.
Oh no! No, come back. Okay. We love you. We want to say goodbye. Invite you back to do more promo. Come back.
Okay, well, we'll see if he comes back.
Let's hang out here, and maybe we could just highlight some of the questions in the chat. Is he back?
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that.
Welcome back.
Anyway, make a long story short, we have these we're building these houses that are eco-friendly, eco-sensitive, low footprint, leaves very little disturbance to the natural landscape that we're building on, using post and beam style building techniques. There's a lot of different energy sources that we're going to be implementing that I'll keep on the down low for now. The wind turbine and solar power stuff is obvious stuff that anybody can find out. That's why I was willing to talk about it. But we have some other stuff that we're going to be doing that I don't want to talk about, certain materials and stuff, because I don't want to give away the farm here. But you know, these are also going to be self-sufficient. So these will be agricultural sites as well. So each home will have its own a garden area for growing food and all of this stuff, and it'll be 90+% off grid. So you'll probably be selling power back to the system, and I have
to tell everyone at home, Corin, I have to tell everyone at home something very special here. When Corin is going off talking about all of this, I want you to know that this man is a Mason. My uncle is actually a Mason here, and he runs the Shriners. So when Corin Nemeth gets together and starts doing a project where it's about the environment and it's about creating technology, this is a serious person approaching a serious project in a serious way. My hat's off to you, Corin.
Yeah, thanks. And you know, so we're very excited about it, and the community that we're working in. We've already met with city council and different people like that, and they are extremely excited about this, because we're taking stuff off of the system. So we'd be using the latest in septic technology and gray water technology, as well as each house having their own individual well from an aquifer, you know, down underneath the property that we've bought. So you'll have pure well water, which you can run through whatever filtration system you want. We can do a reverse osmosis or charcoal. I'm on well water here at my house in Texas, and I don't have any filtration on it, and it's amazing. But that said, so the house itself, if you're ever in a situation like we've been under in these last number of months, you know, you're going to have a self-sufficient home that even if all the power in the city goes out, if the water supply gets shut down, if the sewage lines to the city somehow become, overrun or whatever happens, your house will be totally and completely 100% safe from all of that. There'll be a underneath the house in the utility closet that we're building for all the machinery will be solid poured concrete or cinder block, concrete filled cinder block, whichever one is more cost efficient. So it will be a storm shelter as well as a safe room for if God forbid your house should get broken into. But with the post and beam style building, that puts us 12 to 14 feet off the ground, which helps for protecting your house and your loved ones. We actually have a drawbridge that we designed for the stairs that go down, where you can actually bring the platform that goes to the stairs up, and that way, if you leave out of town for an extended period of time or whatever, the only way anybody can get into your house is with a 14, 16 foot tall ladder. So all these things we're taking into consideration. There's a lot of other stuff that I won't go into detail on that will be part of the functional design in terms of even self-defense. Having corner windows that are concreted in, bulletproof, that fold out, so you have those kind of corner windows like you would have in a castle.
Wow.
with the thin slit down there, and being able to operate either way to protect your property and your loved ones. So we're putting the thoughts of everything into it, and I'll be interviewing Steve McQueen when we get down there and going to the property we're going to be building on.
So cool.
And,
you're going to have to let us know about that. Let us get in on that, please. Can I ask you, like right on air, please come back and share with our fans and everyone in our chat and in our friend groups and in our YouTube groups. Will you come back and share all of this with us? Because we want to help hype you up. And also, we just enjoy your company. You're a great storyteller. You have such an interesting life. I've so enjoyed my time here with you today.
Oh, thanks. Well, wait till you hear about my trip to Jamaica.
Corin, thank you so much. We're here to support you in any way. Just let us know.
Yeah,
I will.
Right.
I will.
Corin, real quick, what is the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to either be there when you show up in a city, if they want to participate in some way other than just donating to the GoFundMe?
Yeah, again, the email, capital L, Love America Tour, capital L, capital A, capital T. So Love America Tour 2020 at tutanota.com, TUTANOTA, I think that's right. Tutanota.com is our secure email for people to be able to send us. In the header, just put the state you're in the subject, put your full name, or if you don't want to put your full name, you can put your first name or whatever, and then put the closest city or town you're in, and then we can email you directly from there. But we'll also be posting. I'll be posting on the Twitter. We're thinking about setting up a Twitter just for Love America Tour, for the people who are actually involved in it to go on to that. We just don't want to overrun ourselves with too many different platforms to manage. So if we do start a Love America Tour Twitter, it'll be easier there, because then we'll just be putting out the information specific to where we're headed next and what we're doing. So it's going to be a little chaotic. It's going to be kind of a fly by the seat of your pants. But so long as my film crew, which I'm really stoked about, Chad and Joe, so long as they're and myself, so long as we keep up the right pace and keep putting out the material as we go, and keep letting people see what the experience is, and see the interviews and get to know other people, because I think that there's a number of people that will end up interviewing that other people know on Twitter or whatever social media. And these, I think it's going to be an extraordinary way for everybody to get to know each other,
Yeah, that would be great.
Going upstairs. I got to pack in my room. It's too much.
Well, I definitely look forward to when you come to Tennessee.
That's for the laundry chute right there.
Oh yeah. You put a light in there?
Downstairs. The light actually comes through from there's a backside to the closet in my son's room, so he has he can put his laundry in that side, and there's a light in there, so it shines through.
So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. It's pretty rad.
Very cool. I love what you've done with this house. It looks so neat.
But everybody wants to know, where are you hiding the Stargate?
Oh, in my son's room.
Oh, it's there.
It's well, there's a Stargate. You see that one? Was over there? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's that one. Go. And then there's this big painted one back here that I got.
Oh, great.
While I was at Neo show. This is my son's wall of shame for me.
Action figure. You got an action figure.
He does.
You've got to be the coolest dad in the world if your kid can have your action figure.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Right? So long as I don't walk in and see him stabbing it with needles, I'm okay.
No voodoo doll.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much for your time today and sharing all of this. It's so cool.
Yeah, you bet. We'll do it again, definitely, and we'll catch up when it gets a little bit closer to the tour date. We leave on, we've already secured the RV. It's definitely happening. Nothing's going to stop this. We start in Austin, like I said. I don't know if I said it or not, but we start in Austin. We should arrive in Austin maybe the evening of July 1st or so, or the 2nd. Like I said, we'll do some get-togethers there as much as we can, interview some people. I got some street artist buddies of mine I want to interview while I'm there. Maybe go out and do some street art, which we'll go and film and put together, and you guys can see us live in action.
Yeah.
And,
well, and when you come to Tennessee, you gotta let me know, man, because I want to meet you.
I will, buddy. Yeah. We'll make it happen.
Michael J. Crawford, he will definitely sign up to do some storytelling with you.
Absolutely,
love it.
Now I have to limp around with a cane, so I might not be able to help with the construction much, but I want to see what you're doing.
Yeah, that's all right. You're more than welcome to, and I know what it's like to limp around on a cane. I had to do that for about 9 months.
So tell me, I'm curious. I know you're out of time, but I got to know why. So what happened to you? Why did you have to use a cane for so long?
Oh, I was down in Belize working on a movie, and we were on a boat, a Coast Guard boat, Belizean Coast Guard boat, which had 4 350 horsepower engines on the back of it, and we were leaving at about 4:30 in the morning, pitch blackout. Unbeknownst to us, the radar and sonar were both out on this particular boat, and they also didn't have a searchlight on the front of it. So, and when you're traveling out there in the Keys, you have to go at a really high rate of speed because there's a lot of seagrass and it's very shallow, and your motor can get tangled up in the grass very easily. So they were hauling ass at an ungodly amount of speed, and out of nowhere we crashed into a shipwreck that had been there for 60 years.
Oh my God.
And I was hurled through the air, and oddly enough, the boat bounced back up and hit me and knocked me back into the boat. I was actually being on my way to be thrown out of the boat, and when the boat hit me, it hit my right femur and shattered it to 7 pieces.
Oh my God!
So and then we were stuck out there. The boat was no good. Fortunately, I was wearing skinny jeans, which kept my leg from busting open and kept me from
like a makeshift splint almost.
Yes, it did. So skinny jeans saved my life. I can officially say that. We were stuck out there for almost an hour or so before we could get a tow in. So I'm out there with a shattered femur for almost an hour in ungodly pain and bleeding inside of my leg, because the bone didn't puncture the skin, thank God. Otherwise, because I lost 3/4 of the blood in my body by the time I got to surgery. So I was like, a few pints from dying, basically. And I got a lot of so I got I think it was I can't remember how many liters that they put back in me. I want to say it was 12, but it was somewhere in some ungodly amount, So I got a lot of Belizean blood in me now. Which I'm very thankful for. I'm very thankful for those people who donated their blood, and it definitely saved my life. But so when they finally got me to the hospital down there, fortunately, Belize is not the most modern country in the world. But there's a lot of expats there because it used to be British Honduras.
Okay.
Before there was, somewhat of a revolution, and then Belize separated from the British Commonwealth or whatever. So, but there's still like 250,000 Brits that live there, and a huge population. And so they have some solid private hospitals. And the Belizean doctor that treated me there, he had actually done all of his studying in the U.S. and Canada, and was, he put me together with I mean, if I had the X-rays of what my leg looked like when he was done with it, it looked like a wood shop project from from junior high. Just screws everywhere and plates and this and that, because he had to put 7 pieces back together and didn't have the technology to do it. So he had to do it whichever way he could do it, and he saved my life. Then this was what's funny is so I'm down there and I'm like, why am I not being life flighted back to the US?
Right.
And it turns out that the hospital, the Belizean hospital, was $38,000 for the surgery US. And they refused to release me from the hospital until somebody from the insurance company brought them a briefcase of cash and paid for my surgery in cash, because they didn't trust being paid by the insurance. So I was basically held hostage for 5 freaking days. And then the insurance was so cheap, they didn't even life flight me back. They put me in freaking first class with a freaking partial cast on, fresh out of surgery, just with my leg poking out in the freaking thing. I get to Houston, and they don't even send an ambulance for me. They sent a freaking SUV truck.
Oh my God!
To pick me up and take me to the hospital. So now I'm like, how am I even supposed to get into this thing? I can't even bend my leg.
Yeah.
So I managed to squeeze myself into this thing some freaking how. Then went to the hospital. So, make a long story short, I went straight into inpatient rehabilitation, and they kept checking the X-rays, because the surgery that the doctors, when they looked at it, they're like, this is not going to last. It's going to fall apart. We should redo the surgery. Well, the insurance said, I'm sorry, so long as the leg is staying together, you're not redoing anything. And they're like, well, okay. So they refused to redo the surgery. So I'm like 5 months into physical rehabilitation, and nothing's getting better. And they're doing the X-rays, and they're like, his leg is falling back apart again inside of there. And if he doesn't get his surgery, the bone material is going to die, and he may lose his leg.
Oh my God.
So then they finally are like, okay, fine. So then they finally okay me for the next surgery. In the meantime, I had also had internal organ injuries from the bones being shoved up into my internal organs and shit. So I had 3 other surgeries for that,
Wow.
And finally, I got the other surgery done where they put a titanium rod and packed all the bone back around it and did all of the graft, whatever they do, So I got a great surgery done, and then went back into inpatient physical therapy, because I had to go back to where I started from. So now then it was another. So I'd already done close to 5 months inpatient physical therapy, went back into surgery, came out, did another 6 months living in a hospital, inpatient physical therapy, or at least 4 or 5 of those 6 months, and then got out and then went to outpatient physical therapy for another 3 or so months. And then finally got back out to LA, where I started doing, some work again.
And stuff.
Yeah, when I started doing some acting jobs again, whatever I could, because I was still on a cane, and then continued doing outpatient physical therapy in LA for another full 6 months, until I finally had regular, normal, as close to normal movement as I can possibly have, again. So it was a 2-year absolute just nightmare.
Wow.
But crazy,
thank you so much for sharing that.
Whole crazy story, man. That's nuts. First you could have died, bled to death. Then you could have lost your leg, and then you had to face all of this rehabilitation. And well, now definitely when anybody asks you why you were so stiff in the chair in Renegades, your fans will know now why.
Exactly.
Jesus, terrible.
I was in horrible pain.
Corin, I'm really worried because I know you got a lot to do. You've been so generous. You've been so generous, and thank you, my friend.
We love you. Come back. We love you.
Absolutely. I definitely will come back for sure. And I really appreciate all of the support from you guys. And, you know, we're all in this together. Where we go one, we go all, whether we like it or not. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
We're going to stay on when you leave, and we're going to just talk a little bit about your tour and give out some more information.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much, guys. And
thank you so much, Corin.
Much love. Hugs to everyone.
Trip.
And I'll catch you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Wow. So that was a great, fantastic interview. What did you guys think?
Wow.
Yeah, I love that story. I mean, that's you know, and the thing is with his tour, it's like that's exactly the kind of stories that he's going to be getting from other people, to hear those stories of just life happening to people, and you know, basically trying to build up that, hey, you know, we're all one people, and this is and we've all gone through stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. So I think it's going to be cool, and of course I'm excited because I know he's going to be near me. So when he's doing that building project, so I can't wait to find out what that's all about.
Yeah,
very excited. You might have to go cover that at ET.
If he'll let me, man, I will definitely go out there and hang out with him and his crew and see what they're doing and kind of promote it on my channel and do what I can to help him, because I love the idea of a self-sustained community, especially if you look at the kind of stuff that's been going on in the world the last couple of years, and this year in particular, where things are just literally falling apart at the seams worldwide. And if you have people in, you know, obviously not everybody is cut out to live in a community like that, but if you live in a community where it can be pretty much self-sufficient, then if a breakout like coronavirus or some other big problem happens, the people that live there don't have to go into panic mode. You don't have to suddenly run to Walmart and buy 75 tons of toilet paper, right? And so I love the idea. I think it's awesome, and I want to see it in action, and I'm excited that he's going to be doing it near here so that I'll be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Raquel, about
Oh,
this?
I concur. I think that he is an incredibly interesting person. He has so many different stories to tell, and I love that he's so frank. He's willing to speak his mind. And one minute he sounds like he's from the left, and the next minute he sounds like he's from the right, and then the next minute he sounds like he's from the center. And to me, that just sounds like somebody who is just very open-minded and very open-hearted, and he just wants to embrace this experience and embrace people. And this sort of, you know, this resounding golden filament in everything that Corin says is about finding a way to unify people again, finding a way of people to listen to one another again and express, you know, their own experiences. And I think that that's, you know, I'm a Canadian, but I definitely think that that's something that my American friends could use a whole hell of a lot of right now. All of the entertainment is dystopian. Twitter has become a toxic waste dump, and you know, and it's very abusive. And if you don't give people these glimmers of hope, if you don't give people a way to coalesce and to reach one another and empathize and compassionate one another, you know, it's not good for a society. So, you know, I'm totally for this project, and I wish him the best of luck. And I'm going to do everything in my limited power to make sure that I promote it for him.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that the Support America, the Love America tour is the link is in the below the video, and I'm putting it up again in the chat. You know, if there's a lot of ways to support. There's retweeting, there's giving just a little bit, there's giving a lot. There's an infinite amount of ways you can support. Sending your energy,
yes.
Any way you can support is greatly appreciated. And I have a feeling he's going to be out there for a lot more than 4 weeks.
I hope so. I hope that the money comes rolling in. And you know, one way of doing that, you know, PJ, you raised a very good point. It's also sharing the message. It's getting out there and subbing Orville Nation and sharing this video. It's subbing to AntiTrekker, Michael J. Crawford's channel, and giving a shout out to Corin and saying, hey, Corin, when you get to Tennessee, can we see a meet and greet with you and Michael? Let's see you guys come together. And I'd like to see all of these channels just coming together in a big web to make this really, really cool experience, something we built from the grassroots, right?
And I do think that, and you know, especially the way that YouTube works, is quite frankly, if Corin can continue to, you know, once he gets this road trip going, if he starts posting regular daily videos that are substantial, you know, he's talking to different people, he posts the interview, and he starts putting those up every day, and he grows a following, the YouTube alone could eventually sustain him to continue to do it for extended periods of time. And I think that would be, that would be so cool. It would be to see, you know, see this tour continue to go as long as people are interested in it. And it's not like you're going to run out of people to talk to.
That's true. But I also like the fact that you raised the point to him, because I was going to raise the point myself. And I really like that you said that. When you get on YouTube, it's so easy once you monetize to have somebody just come along and say, you know what, you're really passionate about this. This is a really great project. And in 2 clicks of the mouse, they can donate $50, $100, or they can even subscribe monthly for as little as $1.99 a month. I mean, that's a magazine subscription. So I do think that YouTube will definitely facilitate a very easy access point for Corin's followers and for anybody who is just interested in this project. So I concur with you there.
Do you have that email there, for, or do we need to rewind the stream to get it?
Which email? AntiTrekker,
the email for the Love America tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to find the exact, because it's
52 minutes into your live stream.
That's the spelling is what I'm worried about.
I wrote it down because I was like, okay, I'm going to need that email, and I'm not going to be able to write this down. So it's rewind the live stream to 52 minutes, and you should find it.
Yeah, because that's the sign-up sheet, right? And I am now really keen on getting AntiTrekker together with him when he gets to Tennessee, because that comes preloaded. Wouldn't it be very cool to watch AntiTrekker do all of the filming of what Corin's doing while Corin is doing some filming? This is so very documentary style. It's incredibly interesting. Let's do something, guys. Let's get all this together. Let's get our posse together and make this count.
And like, you know, I know Corin couldn't say exactly where his project is going to be, but I do love the fact that the distance he said from Nashville is pretty darn close to the distance I am from Nashville, and it couldn't be in the opposite direction because then he'd be in Kentucky. So I'm hoping that he's not too far from where I'm at, because I think that'd be cool. And I know there's areas around here where you could definitely do that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I absolutely can't wait to see what he's going to do there. And I think that his Love America tour is something that I wish more actors in particular would get the idea to do something like this. I mean, granted, I know Corin has a following, and they're, you know, but imagine if, especially during this whole COVID thing where Hollywood is basically out of business right now, imagine if you had actors like Jonathan Frakes, or actors like even Keanu Reeves, you know, which I know he's very, you know, he does a lot of stuff, but imagine if they were doing something like this, you know, if they were taking advantage. And this is what I love, you know, because Corin's looking at, well, Hollywood is pretty much shut down. What else can I do?
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, you know, they sit around in their homes and they do like cameos and stuff like that, when, you know, the Cameo website.
Insert barf icon.
Yeah. You know, which is fun and cool and everything. But you know what Corin's doing can really make an impact on people.
It does, yeah, because it's real civic engagement. It's real dialogue. It's actual civic engagement. It's getting into your community and other communities, and getting into your country, and getting into the trenches, and getting people talking and listening. You know, in this day and age, everybody's doing all of this talking, and very few people are doing any listening. So yeah, it's just great that he's getting out there and he's going to make this possible for people. And think about the people who he's going to give voice to.
Right.
I think it's terrific that somebody who isn't famous can talk about their journey, not only through this pandemic, but their socioeconomic journey through the trials and tribulations of what's been going on in the last 5 years in the US, even in a non-political way. Just there's so much angst and so much strife. It will be interesting to hear this cornucopia of voices without an agenda, without a corporate narrative attached to it. So very exciting stuff.
One thing I really find interesting about Corn, I was not expecting, especially, you know, because obviously, you know, PJ, you've talked to a lot of celebrities. I've talked to a number of them. And one thing that generally you don't have coming out of actors is any kind of dissenting opinion when it comes to politics.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole, you know, well, screw the agenda kind of thing is, you know, we're not going to do the liberal agenda. We're not going to do the conservative agenda. Let's just look at the real world. And I found that so refreshing because it's kind of how I feel about politics. I register as independent. I know that here in the United States, 99% of people that register as either Democrat or Republican. I register as unaffiliated, basically, and that's something I'm proud of. If you look at my voting record, I voted for Democrats, Republicans, and Independents throughout my adult life, and it's really refreshing to hear a truly independent voice coming from someone from the Hollywood crew. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because usually it's like you've got to give the hard liberal agenda if you're from Hollywood, because if you don't, you're afraid of what's going to happen to your career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just found that really, it was kind of neat to hear someone just being so brutally honest about how he feels about it. I may not agree with everything he said, but I certainly appreciated the fact that he was coming from a place where I felt he was speaking from the heart as opposed to speaking from the party line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think too that sometimes it can be hard to articulate yourself in an interview, especially when it's live. Sometimes you might not get things out in the exact way that you want to say it. But I think that he made it very clear through the story that he weaved and the narrative that he weaved today that I think the thing that, I'm not speaking for him, but my impression is, you know, that I think that he's very off-put and sort of maybe even frightened. I don't want to use the word frightened, but deeply concerned about the polarizing effects of partisanship, where you have these people and it seems like everyone is being driven to the periphery. So it's not enough to just be partisan or to be on one side, but you have to be so extreme in that regard that you're literally gripping with fingers onto the edge of that partisanship. So I think that it's very off-putting to him, and I just think that he wants to shut the volume off on that and crank up the volume on regular people who aren't speaking for partisan agenda or narrative, but just speaking from their heart. It will be interesting to see how it shapes up.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because like right now, and I don't know how it is up in Canada, but here in the U.S., I think that the problem is that, you know, conservatives and liberals, as we call them, which I know it's a little different than where most other countries refer to the right-left paradigm. But for us, when, you know, people will have an idea of, okay, I think we should do it this way, and the other person says, well, I think we should do it this way, and then instead of talking about it, they start saying, well, I think you're wrong because you hate women. And then the other person, well, I think you're wrong because you hate America. And then, well, I think you're wrong because you want to kill children. And then just, you know, it just starts turning into this huge hate fest.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where, in America, unfortunately, because when you have a two-party system in the way that we do, then the parties tend to start to congeal around the extremists on both sides. And those extremists are so dangerous. I mean, the alt-left and the alt-right are horrible, horrible things.
Yes.
And unfortunately, and I think this is where I think the Love America tour is going to be awesome, is what the big reveal is. Guess what? Most people aren't alt-left or alt-right.
Yeah.
Most people are in that that spectrum of in the middle where people are reasonable and they say, well, you know, this idea might work and that idea might work. Oh no, they're from two different political parties. So what? If the ideas work, that's what's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. You know, and it's very hard to do what he's going to do. What he's going to do is he's going to take all of the politics out of it and put listening and storytelling in the forefront. And I don't think that people are focused on that, certainly not online. Online, it's all about, like you said, ad hominem attacks. What names can I call you? What basket of deplorables can I place you in? And, you know, I'm politically neutral. But it's very sad to see, because people are not these boxes of ideas and where do you check this box off? I think that the people are a mixture, and I think more people are a mixture than people are willing to admit.
Yeah, I get the feel that, you know, I would love to sit down with Corin and just argue with him for hours. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think he's the kind of guy that would enjoy that.
But I think so too. I mean, today we weren't here to challenge his politics or what he thinks or his idea. Today we were here to really talk about, you know, the Love America tour, and to pump that up and to get people interested in it. And I think we achieved that for him, and I wish him the greatest success. But I do hope, as a Corin fan, that he will get, once he gets into your neck of the woods, that you'll be able to sit down with him and get into some of the issues, and maybe even do a little bit of recording yourself of his project. I think it would be really, really super cool, Michael.
And yeah, I do too. I think it's, and I'm just, I'm really excited about what he's doing. And I didn't know much about the Love America tour until this live stream, but boy, he's got me sold on it. I love the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. PJ, are you still with us?
You there, PJ? You gonna give like a closing word, or are you gonna just sit there and stare at us with your picture, which is kind of creepy?
Well, while PJ's engaged, I'd like to give a shout out to the chat. I would like to thank each and every single person who came here today to support Michael Crawford, to support Oroville Nation, and to support Corin and this stream. Thank you for allowing us into your homes and into your lives, into your pockets, you know, those little phones. And I just want to thank you for being here for us. Without you, these streams don't happen. So thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. And PJ was in the stream twice for a second there, trying to figure out what he's doing. And so it's like, well, you know, we can't really end the stream until PJ ends the stream. So we're just going to sit here and ramble on for a little while. I hope you guys had a good time. And hopefully PJ, I don't know what's going on with, is he still in Spain?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So maybe the, now, okay. This is something that always throws me out. Maybe you can help me with this, Raquel. Is when I say Spanish, generally speaking, what comes to mind is like South America, right? Because we think of, you know, and so Spain, though, if I say the internet there, it is the Spanish internet, right? That's what the correct term would be.
Right.
Something in Spain. So
right.
Because then part of me was trying to think like Conors was just putting in the chat, is it Spanish? You know, because you think Spanish, and well, there's more Spanish than just Spain. But yeah, so maybe the Spanish internet is having problems for him. I don't know what the situation is for him.
Yes.
And let's see.
It looks. Fortean Barber says, from PJ at AntiTrekker and Raquel, having trouble with StreamYards. Can you just wrap it up? Thank you.
We're done. So, you can end the stream at any time, PJ. We're okay.
Yeah, we're good. We thank everyone for coming today. Please sub Oroville Nation. Please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Please hit your notification bells and make sure that you remain a part of Oroville Nation. Please sub to AntiTrekker. Join Michael's chorus. Get on over to his channel and see what he's got and see what he's doing. And a shout out to Corin. Corin, thank you so much for being with us today. You are a rock star. I loved all of your stories, and it was so nice to meet this person behind the mammoth project that is Stargate. Today we got to meet you and understand you better and your career better, and we're all excited about your project. So I think that about wraps it up. Anything you want to say, Michael?
No, just guys, thank you for hanging out with us, and it's going to be exciting to see what Corin does, and hopefully you guys will all participate in one way or another. And just take care and have a great rest of your day.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
And now, fingers crossed, the stream's going to end. Maybe. Will it end?
No,
Dun, dun.
it's not.
The stream's still going. Or
Michael.
PJ, the stream is still going, PJ. I still see a stream.